Hey everybody, TJ here. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling the need for a little bit of Mii Time, and I'm hoping you're going to join me. So if you saw the last episode of the show, which was coincidentally the first episode of the show, you know it ran a little bit long. It ran long. It's a super loose format, not heavy production, just a conversation between me and you, and that's basically it. So I don't expect them to constantly run that long. I really appreciate the feedback that everybody gave me. I know that at points I probably lost some people, it got a little bit boring, or maybe I started to talk in circles or repeat myself. So hopefully that will not be a continuing trend and we can get these things done a little bit faster. But today we're going to talk about the hunt. If you are watching this channel, then chances are you yourself have experienced the hunt with respect to Amiibo. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I feel about Amiibo hunting or toy collecting in general, and also lay down some anecdotes from some of my more memorable experiences trying to track down some of these Amiibo. But first, let's handle our disclaimer business. Here we go. The views and opinions expressed here are ours alone and do not necessarily reflect those of this channel or its affiliates.
And we reserve the right to alter them at any time if it's convenient or because we feel like it. So, take this.
Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about Amiibo. When they first were announced back in at E3 a couple years ago now, I'm really bad with numbers, so you'll have to forgive me if I mess them up, but I do remember pre-ordering Link, Donkey Kong, Mario, and Pikachu before they came out, and one of the first things that I wanted to do was to see how they actually interfaced with Smash Brothers. Nintendo was pretty vague on the details, and what we actually found out once we got to play it was it's pretty sophisticated fighting algorithms that allow you to train these things up, and they do not behave in the same way that, let's say, a computer player would behave, because they do change the way that they respond based on the experiences that they have, and that to me is super cool. If you know me or you've seen other videos, you know fighting is my job. I'm a black belt in martial arts. I'm a professional sword fighter. I live for fighting. I love it. So Smash Brothers is, for me, the perfect game. It takes all of my favorite characters, Link, Mario, Donkey Kong, Pikachu, and they get to fight each other. Going all the way back to the Nintendo 64, I was a day one adopter of this game, long before anybody even really knew what it was, and I loved it then. I love it now. Smash is the best game series by far for somebody like me. I'm their exact audience. That said, I'm not a professional caliber player. I'm super casual. If I had more time, I would probably play it more and I would probably get better. But the Amiibo are a really fun way for me personally to be able to experience Smash Brothers when I can't actually play it. And that was my inspiration for making Smash Supremacy. At the time, I was editing another show that I directed and choreographed called Warrior Showdown. Warrior Showdown was extremely time intensive, and it took a long time, and it was expensive for a new media project, because we had to get a lot of things together. In LA, you don't get any locations for free, so between permits and costumes and camera equipment and all this other stuff, I was putting myself in the poorhouse. So I was like, I need to be able to experience this filmmaking in a more cost-effective way, and Smash Supremacy is pretty much Warrior Showdown with Nintendo characters, and instead of having stunt performers do the roles, it's being done by Amiibo. And that was something that I knew I wanted to do before Amiibo were ever even released. At first I thought maybe I'll just do the core characters that launched the franchise back in the N64 version, and then I was like, well, let's add at least the unlockable characters. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, nah, we need to do all of them. And so that presented me with the same challenge that all of my fellow Amiibo collecting friends have experienced. It's hard to find those things, or at least it was, and I am not fully convinced that it won't be again at some point. And certainly if you missed out on some of the ones that have already come and gone, they're hard to find, or at least they're hard to find for a reasonable price. I expected to work hard on the show Smash Supremacy. I did not expect to have to work so hard to get the Amiibo. some of you out there, and I know, and some of my friends, Amiibo Jason being one of them, and my other friends, Josh Brown and Jason Inquires, these guys like the hunt. They enjoy the hunt. It excites them. It's fun. I hate the hunt. I enjoy no part of that. Of course, I'm excited if I walk into a store and it has one of the characters that I'm looking for, so I can proceed with my business and go about utilizing this toy in the way that I want. But the fact that I cannot just give Nintendo my money and receive this product, for me, is very frustrating. And I know to some people that sounds entitled, like we should be able to just buy any toy on the market. I realize that's not always the case, and you deal with things like retail exclusives and other obstacles that make purchasing them even more difficult, like some only being available in other countries or scattered release schedules. It was not easy. And one of the earliest challenges that everybody found was the Holy Trinity with Marth, Villager, and Wii Fit Trainer, because they were short shipped. You have far fewer of them released because it's logical that they're going to be way less popular, and they are way less popular. It's certainly a very good gamble that you're going to sell way more Mario, way more Link than you're going to sell characters that are from much lesser known or less popular franchises, or characters that don't even really have that many games that are known or popular here in the West. For me, I've mentioned it before, Marth isn't a Fire Emblem character to me. He's a Smash Brothers character. I don't play Fire Emblem games. Ain't nobody got time for that. Sorry to my Fire Emblem fans out there. I know they're great, I just don't have time for them. Plus, I don't like turn-based RPGs. I like to be able to control that action. Now, I'm going to contradict this during the next Mii Time for that topic, but we'll get into that then. So, finding those guys was a pain, and like I said, I only pre-ordered a few of them, and then very shortly after that, I bought up the rest of them that I could, but I didn't have Marth, Wii Fit Trainer, or Villager. I did discover that it's possible to purchase them from Amazon Germany, which is eventually what I did do, and the American dollar is pretty good compared to the euro, so I got it for basically the same price that I could have gotten them from here, but then you got to pay exorbitant shipping rates, but I was content with that. I'm going to skip ahead Wave 2, which was a huge pain. I had all of it pre-ordered except for Pit, and then I had to drive to every GameStop in the world to find it, and all the while, Smash Supremacy is my driving force. The episodes that released are not in order of the episodes that I wanted to do. The episodes release in the order of what Amiibo are available to me. So you may notice if you look back at the beginning of the show, I go in order. I had to wait to release the show. I started working at it in December, the year that Amiibo were released, right after I got the first several. But I did not want to have a significant gap in content. I wanted to be able to release it every week, or it worked out to be about every 10 days. But I needed to wait for Wave 4, which was Ness, Lucina, Robin, Wario, Charizard, etc., because I needed to make sure that I had enough matchups where I wouldn't get stuck to a point where I couldn't progress with the show, and then people would forget about it and not care about it anymore, or I would lose steam or get distracted or get absorbed with other projects. So that was my driving motivation at the very beginning, and that's why I waited 3 months to release the first episode. It let me kind of build up the assets that I needed from a production standpoint, and then I could start firing them out. So that wound up being a little bit of a hurdle. And now it's a huge hurdle because I've gone as far as I can go with the Smash Amiibo until I get that Cloud, Bayonetta, and Corrin. But before we start talking about that, and I do have a little bit more I have to say about those guys, I want to give you an anecdote about my most memorable hunt. So I'm sure all of you remember about that one time when Amiibo broke GameStop. I had heard from my friends over at Amiibo News, as I'm sure all of you guys did, that Ness was a GameStop exclusive, which is cruelty. We had already experienced the pains of trying to acquire these retail exclusives by this point, but we knew Ness was going to be in shorter supply than some of the more popular characters, and that wound up to be the case, and not surprisingly, because he is, while a popular favorite amongst Nintendo fans, he's not widely known. He's no Mario. Unless you're a Nintendo player or an old school Nintendo fan, you probably don't know who Ness is. Or if you do, you know him from Smash. Because Earthbound came out when I was 10, or I was a little boy when I played through that game. So if you're 10 now, then I wonder how it is that you would have encountered Ness and Earthbound and learned about it. Probably Smash. Smash is the gateway to all of the classic Nintendo franchises. So I made the decision that I wasn't going to take a chance. I needed to get there, and I needed to pre-order these things because Wave 4 was what I needed to have in hand before I can move forward with this show in a public capacity. So I have 2 children, as you probably know. My wife works during the days, and we're like ships passing in the night. I work at night, so I have my kids during the day. And my son at the time was 1 year old. My daughter was 2. And I decided I would brave GameStop with these kids strapped to me. One can walk comfortably, but, you know, she gets tired. And then the other one can't walk at all, can't talk at all. And so he's strapped to my chest. We get to GameStop an hour early because I wanted to be for sure that I was going to make this happen. I don't know, there was going to be 10 that they could sell, maybe even less. So I was, thankfully, first in line. So me and my kids, first in line for a pre-order. That's not my style. I know a lot of you guys like to wait in these lines. I don't like that. I just want to be able to give you my money. Yeah, I give you my money and you give me the toy. All right, so people start showing up about 30 minutes before, and by the time GameStop is ready to start taking pre-orders, we've got a line out the door. And so I put in my order. The guy who was helping me was awesome. His name was Casey, works at GameStop out here in California, and super, super nice. You could tell that GameStop employees at this point were receiving calls nonstop about Amiibo, probably all day. And I know that not everybody who they dealt with was especially kind about their predicament. So I give this guy a lot of credit. I had 2 kids, and thank God these kids were amazing. My son didn't peep even once, just sat there smiling at me, happy to be on an adventure with Daddy. And my daughter loves Nintendo games. She could name every one of those Amiibo by the time she was 1. Some kids can name farm animals. My kid can name Nintendo characters, and she can even recognize them from their silhouettes. It's the most uncanny thing. I'm proud. I'm a proud dad. So I put in my order. I decided I'd throw in that Splatoon 3 pack, even though I didn't know if that game would be any good or if those were Amiibo I would even need, but I didn't want to take that chance. So then, boom, the lights go out. The computers break. The whole system crashes, and all hell breaks loose. Well, not really, but people got a little bit frantic and frustrated and worked up. There were people in my line, which still out the door, that are like, I'm on my lunch break. I only have 30 minutes to turn this around. How long is this gonna take? And it took a lot longer than that. So I'd already been there for that hour, and then they start trying to take pre-orders. That doesn't work. Another hour goes by. So that's 2 hours, me and my kids. Thank God I had bottles stuck in my pockets so that I could at least keep my kids hydrated and nourished during this ordeal. And I'm glad that they were having fun. And the people who were immediately next to me kept commenting about what good kids they were. And, you know, on any given day, you sometimes get different kids, but that was a good day. And eventually, things started working, and after, I don't know, half a dozen orders that went of my order, just mine. I'm the only person they're helping still at this point. My order got all the way to the last screen and timed out, and they had to start over 6 times plus. And finally one goes through. and I secured all the characters from that wave, including Robin and Lucina, and Ness, and the Splatoon 3-pack, and I was very happy and relieved. But before I was even out the door, the next guy behind me, I think, got it too. The third person in line, no Ness, no Robin, no Lucina, no Splatoon 3-pack. A couple people later, Wario went out. I didn't even have time to get outside the door because it wasn't just my GameStop taking pre-orders. It was all GameStops in the United States taking pre-orders at the same time. I respect very much what they intended to do. They wanted to make it go live nationwide so that you can give everybody equal opportunity no matter where they are. But I'm not a supremely well-informed technical guy. Something broke that machine and it could not handle that overload. So I felt bad for people who waited that long and got nothing, and it was a fruitless journey. Some people, like if you were the fourth person in line, you got Wario and Charizard, maybe, if you were lucky, and that's so lame to me. What I really think pre-order should be used for is to inform demand. That way you know exactly how many you need. You don't want to sell more pre-orders than you can acquire of product, because that's dirty pool. That's horrible. If you ordered a pre-order, you better be getting a product. That's the whole purpose of it. But from a distribution manufacturing standpoint, if you know that people are lining up outside the door to get this product, you need to make a lot of this product. And down the line, Amiibo got a little bit easier to acquire, and I think that might have had something to do with it, as you start seeing, hey, people want these, as long as they're not Animal Crossing Amiibo. I was just kidding. I eventually bought them, but I paid $4 each from Amazon.com. To me, they were the same value as Smash. So I want to know from you guys, do you have any harrowing Amiibo hunting stories? Or anything memorable that really stuck out to you? Even though in the moment, it was hot and stressful and tensions were rising and the people all around me were getting really frustrated, my bicep was bulging. I thought it was gonna burst out of my skin because I was holding my daughter for so long in my arm. My son was strapped to me, so I was okay, but I really thought this arm was just gonna break. And you feel it screaming, but the kid is tired and she's been standing for 2 hours. She can't do this forever. And I can't do that to my kid, especially for something like this. But when I look back at it, it's a fond memory. I remember it fondly. So I say I hate the hunt, but it did create some good memories. And there are certainly some good things that came out of it. If it wasn't so hard to find Amiibo, then we wouldn't have needed Amiibo News. If I didn't need to follow and track Amiibo Inquirer, Toys for Games Cast, Amiibo News, then I probably wouldn't have made these great friends. And I probably wouldn't be on this channel right here talking with you guys. And I might not be a part of this great community. And for that, I am really thankful. And that's because we needed to band together. We needed to band together as a community so that we could find these toys so that we can play our game or hang them on the wall and never touch them, except maybe to dust them periodically. But as you can see, that's not my style. We'll probably have a conversation debating the merit of new in box or loose in another time. But I like to use these things. I wanted to use them in the show, and I really needed to make sure that I secured that Wave 4 to do that. As we went on, I just started importing them from Europe because I didn't want to have to wait as long, and I wanted to be able to utilize like Ganondorf, Zero Suit Samus, Palutena, and Pit. I had months before most people because I got them from the UK. But even that, you got to do some fancy footwork because a lot of those places that had them available, they don't ship to the United States, so you needed to, like, I got them from game.com, and I needed to have them shipped to a friend who I know who lives in the UK and then mail them to me. So that was a whole nother thing. But now I find myself in a situation where I would like to move forward with the rest of round one in Smash Supremacy. And I just don't understand why Nintendo can't perfectly conform their Amiibo release schedule to suit my personal needs. I'm just kidding. I think that everybody is on bated breath, waiting for them to finally announce when these Amiibo are going to come out. Because I'm getting a little bit itchy, and I want to move forward with Smash Supremacy so that I'm not 1,000 years old by the time that it finishes. I'm going to do two things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward with round 2 and just skip a couple numbers in the episode. So the most recent episode I did was 27, 28, and 29 require Cloud, Corrin, Bayonetta. So I'm going to skip those and I'll go right to episode 30. And that'll be the first fight from round 1. And then I'll just backtrack as I need to fill those guys in. As long as I don't get to the end of round 2 before they finish, I can double back, and no one will be any the worse for wear. So I think we're all with it enough to be able to not get too confused, but that will explain why there's going to be a number gap there. The other thing that I'm going to do is, one of the first criticisms that I got from Smash Supremacy as a show is people responded to the idea of a tournament where the Amiibo settle who is the best Smash character, but they were not too crazy about TJ and Dark TJ. So they were like, I just skipped past those stupid talking Miis making bad jokes and annoying me with their stupidness, and I just watched the fight. Well, if you were one of those people, I got some good news for you. I have created an abridged version of the show called Smash Supremacy Shortcuts. It is all the action, all the results, but no talking. So that will start as early as next week. Yes. So you can look for that every Monday and Wednesday. And the results are the same as what you saw in the full episodes of Smash Supremacy. So if you're up to date on that show, you're not going to see anything different. But hey, it might be a cool way to refresh yourself on the status of the show and who's still involved in that tournament, because I don't have enough tournament shows out between maybe me, Season 1, Season 2, and then Smash Supremacy. It's exciting to me. I have fun with it. I hope that you guys get something out of it too. But related to Amiibo hunting, there's a lot of channels and a lot of Twitter, what do you call it? Twitter profiles dedicated purely to trying to find these things. And I know because I've followed a lot of them so that I could find them too. Have you had some of the same incidents with me? And when are you thinking that Nintendo is going to release these last 3 Amiibo? Are you of the mind that they're going to release this year? I have a few theories. Now, I've heard that some people think that Cloud, Corrin, Bayonetta are going to be launched with the NX in whatever incarnation Smash takes for the NX. Maybe it's the super ultimate Smash edition that includes all the features from the 3DS and all the features from the Wii U, and it contains all of the same Amiibo functionality, and as a way to entice people to try to get their hands on another Smash game that they may feel they don't need if they already own both versions, as I do. I'm going to buy Smash anyway, so don't worry, Nintendo. You got my money as far as Smash is concerned. Maybe it's just an extra incentive to get you to buy the physical copy or the bundle. I don't know. I'm hoping that's not the case, because that's far away, and that'll take forever. And then the other thing that I've heard people say, and I've heard them say this with confidence, but I do not subscribe to this theory at all. I think it is completely impossible, is that Nintendo is somehow caught up in licensing loopholes, because Bayonetta and Cloud, at least, are not completely Nintendo-owned properties. Cloud, as we all know, is from Final Fantasy, and that's a Square Enix-owned property. Now, here's why I am 100% convinced that's impossible, because I'm sure that in whatever contractual agreement they reached to include those characters in the game certainly involved Amiibo support, Amiibo compatibility, and an Amiibo figure, because that's all part and parcel with Smash Brothers. It was something that there's no way that Nintendo would have gotten that far as to put the character in the game if they did not have everything secured in terms of, in legal terms, to be able to produce the figure. And we already know that development has been confirmed, as we saw in one of the Smash Directs. Where's that next Smash Direct, Nintendo? So the other thing, and this is where I'm leaning as far as when I think we can see these characters. There was a little bit of a numerical anomaly with the release of the other Amiibo. The DLC character Mewtwo released before one of the non-DLC characters, Falco. When Falco released, and if you're one of those people who followed the numbers, then you know I'm going to look at my wall to confirm that I'm right here. Falco, I think Mewtwo is 51, and I think that Falco is 52, which is a little bit odd when Mewtwo came into the game later and then also was a DLC character. But if you remember, before Star Fox Zero was delayed, Falco was releasing on the exact same day as Star Fox Zero. And I theorize that bundles would have been available where you could purchase Star Fox Zero with Falco in it. I fully believe that that would have happened had there not been a Smash delay. Star Fox delay, sorry. And then Falco's date didn't change. He was still released on the day that Star Fox Zero was supposed to have been released. And so instead of having this awkward standalone single Amiibo, it would have been released on a thematically appropriate day where 2 Star Fox games released and a Star Fox Amiibo. That would have made a ton of sense. So Nintendo decided they needed to spend a little bit more time on Star Fox Zero. That's fine. That's great. Whatever. And we got Falco anyway on that day. So what I'm thinking is we already know that Final Fantasy VII is a big deal. It's a big deal that I'm sure will have make some sort of appearance on the NX. Nintendo and Square have a long history of working together, and they've been particularly friendly lately with putting several Square Enix costumes in Smash, as well as Cloud, probably the most popular Square Enix character of all time, certainly is to me. So I think that they're holding on to that character to create some strong tie-in with that game. Now, I can't explain exactly why Corrin or Bayonetta haven't been released yet, but I think it's probably something similar. Don't be that surprised if you get a bundle pack with Bayonetta 1 and 2, or maybe even, who knows, a Bayonetta 3 could be in the works, and they're just waiting to slap that thing together with a bundle pack, because it makes marketing sense. It's a little bit frustrating for those of us who are really eager to finish out these Smash collections. There's 3 holes on that shelf that are just waiting, and of course I'm burning to put these things into Smash Supremacy and Mii, because 3 of those characters are on my team, because we've got the male and female version of Corrin. So if I don't get those guys in time, I either have to forfeit those matches or find some adequate substitute. So that's where I'm at with that. If you have a theory about what you think Nintendo's waiting for releasing Cloud, Corrin, Bayonetta, hey, let's have a conversation about it. And in keeping with today's episode theme, do you think they're going to be hard to find? I am leaning towards no. I don't think they're going to be hard to find, but I'm a little bit scared that they might be tied into a bundle. They're not going to be a 3-pack. I will eat my words, of course, if that does turn out to be the case, but I can't see any possible way that it makes sense to package these characters together when you have 3 different characters who also have 3 different companies who are going to be receiving some licensing stipends per purchase. And that would be a little bit hard to parse up, especially when there's a very good chance that you can sell a lot more of some of those characters than others. People are not going to know how to divide up that pie. So they're going to be released separately, but you might have to buy yourself a physical copy of a game. This might be a topic that we talk about a little bit later, but I don't buy physical games. I used to, but I've got 2 young kids. I enjoy playing games with my kids. I am pure digital, baby. That way we boot up the system and every game that I need is already there exactly when I need it. I can push any icon and there's no disk handling whatsoever. Maybe an XLB cartridge and I'm gonna have to figure out some solution, but if I could stay digital forever, that's the way to go. I know it has some drawbacks, but for me and in my life and where I'm at, that's where I wanna be. So please don't make me buy a physical copy, Nintendo. I'm over that. I'm over that stuff. I don't need to have it on my shelf. I need to have it in my game. So I know I said that this was going to be a shorter episode. I'm looking at the clock right there. It's a longer episode. I don't know what I'm doing. If you stuck with me for 30 straight minutes, then hey, thanks. If you got bored and fell off the wayside partway through, I forgive you. I get it. And that's all I've got for this episode of Mii Time. Thanks for sharing your time with me, and I hope to see you again real soon. Thanks for playing.